Hello, everyone. We are here with our special guest right now. We have three special guests here. Our fourth one it might come in, may not. We'll see. Our panel today is for tips on booking for virtual and live drag shows. So today we're gonna talk about that. And our suggested donation is $5 to $10. You can either tip in the tip pool, or you can tip them specifically. We'll have everyone's info in the description down below. All right, should we do the first question?
Do we want to do some basic introductions first for
Yeah,
people that
let's
don't
do
know
that.
everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, let's start with, I'll just go around who's on my screen first. Let's start with Crimson Kitty.
Hi, hello. My name is Crimson. I go by they, them, their pronouns. I have been performing as of this month. It's going to be 15 years. So yeah, so look out for some information because we're throwing a party. And I started my first show live. I started in burlesque. So my first burlesque queer show was about 14 years ago that I produced. And now with digital, I produce digital. But let me tell you, when you learn how to book and do all that stuff, it easily transfers and carries over. And I am a Cancer, Capricorn, Rising, Leo Moon, and a general lover of cats. That's all you need to know. Thank you.
Awesome, love it. How about you, Scarlet? What have you got to share with us about yourself?
Hi, my name is Scarlet Fairweather. I am a mess. I'm the soccer mom of Pittsburgh drag, if you will. I usually bring snacks. It's what I'm good at. Tide Pods were delicious, but don't go eating them for real. I've been doing drag since 2009. I've been hosting shows since about 2016. What year is it? Where are we?
Oh God.
But no, I've been around the block a bit. I may or may not have coalesced a family of children. I don't know how it happened. Not intentional, but I have some experience. I've been producing online shows since the pandemic, and I have some experience. You know, I'd love to impart on everybody. I also get lost when I think, if you couldn't tell. I'm a Leo, and I think I'm a Sagittarius moon. I don't know. I'm really bad at those things because I'm a Leo. And I'm also very fond of cats.
Hell yeah.
Love it.
We love it. How about you, Brock Harder?
I'm Brock Harder. I'm from Evansville, Indiana. I've been doing drag for about 9 years. I've been producing for, I think, about 5 of those years. I'd have to count back, and math is not my strong point, but live producing here in Evansville with a troupe called Leather and Lace. Unfortunately, since the pandemic, the last show that we had was in August for our Pride in a little suburb here where I live. And since then, I did a bunch of videos, outside types of videos for Austin Drag Festival. And since then, I haven't really been doing anything. So I'm going to get in digital drag. It's called Drag Me Online. And we're going to have a Valentine's Day show. So that's going to be either Friday, February 26th, or Saturday, February 27th. We haven't really nailed that down yet. So that'll be my first experience with digital drag. It'll be on Zoom. So I'm hoping that I get through that because I'm really nervous about it. But, you know, everybody has to start somewhere. Yeah. Like when I first started drag, it was very, very scary, you know. Mm-hmm. So, and I've progressed a lot since then. So just hopefully, you know, people will forgive me being on a learning curve, and moving forward, just keep learning.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think also in the description of the video, we'll have everybody's social media so they can keep up with all these shows and support definitely. And give love.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and introduce myself too, just as a host of the panel, and then we'll move on to our founder, Billie Button. I am Prinx Luci. I have been doing drag for a very short amount of time, but have been in theater and things like that for well over a decade at this point. So I'm just branching out into a new form of theater, what it feels like, and excited to help put these tips out here for other people to learn, because even as someone who's been in industry similar to drag, it is a completely fresh field that a lot of people have a lot of questions about, and I'm very excited to help get those out there for people. How about you, Billie?
Well, hi, I'm Billie. I'm the creator of Dragwerk. I've been doing drag since August 2020. And also, Prinx forgot to mention that he's my other co-host. Also, yeah, I found drag by just looking around, but my drag brother Jimmy Diamond helped me get into it with his show Baby Shower, which you guys will be able to view on Twitch. Um, and from Cleveland, Ohio. I'm actually living in a suburb of Cleveland, which is Strongsville here. I just moved recently, and I'm an Aquarius. And I don't know the rest because I haven't gotten my chart done.
I will
Oh, yeah,
do
I should
all your
imagine.
cards. I got you.
Yeah, and actually, my
God,
birthday's
'cause I
coming up,
also-
so yeah.
I'm always scared to
I'm the
say my
big-
sign because people are afraid of it. So I just.
Yeah.
I get
There's
that.
actually two
There's
of me
a lot of it.
in real life, and yeah, there's two of me all the time.
Love it. All right. Do we want to get into our questions and get
Oh,
rolling
yeah.
with this?
Sure.
Yeah, Billie, would you like to start us off with the first question?
Sure.
Or would you prefer I do it?
Well, I can do it. Yeah. All right. So the first
Awesome.
question is, how should an artist best get started on applying for gigs without seeming desperate? Are there social/professional steps one should take before applying?
Do we have an order of how we
Yeah,
want?
that's what I was going to ask.
Oh
Is
yeah,
there
that's a
some
good
order?
point. I forget
don't wanna-
everybody sees each other differently. Let's go the same order we did with
Yeah.
introductions, so Crimson, Scarlet, and then Brock.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's there's a fine line. Let's just be honest here, because especially when they don't know you, the producer doesn't know the performer doesn't know the producer. And I just find that, especially as people come to me and say, hey, I'm interested in working with you, it's all in the way that you handle it. It's all in your tone. It's all in just the overall encompassing message. And I really like to stress that out, because it's not seeming desperate. Sometimes you can seem more like entitled. You don't want to ever come across like, I owe you a gig. No. Message a producer, say, hey, and there's nothing wrong with messaging a producer, because let me tell you, producers' minds are there. Like we're barely hanging on by a thread. So I personally appreciate when people message me, because then I'll have you on my radar, and people can be like, hey, I'm interested in working with you. Do you have an application process? Do you have like this? Do you have that? How can I better get involved with this project? And I think just taking that initial step is the best discourse, because we get nervous when we talk to each other. It's like dating or
Right.
being interviewed for a job. Because I consider drag a job, and I actually would hold the same standards as I would do my day life, that because I work 6 days a week, to what I do in my digital and non-digital life. So it's all about interest, but you have to be professional. Nobody nobody owes you anything. I always highly suggest even going to the shows, especially with Twitch. It's easier. You know what I mean? Because back in the day, it's like, yeah, I love booking people who come to the show, but you know what? Like, I'm in New York. Uber's expensive. Subways can be dangerous at 3, 4 a.m. in the night. I don't take the subway at night. So it's easier for Twitch to come to a very safe place, because in terms of service, and get in those chats and hype up the chat. And I feel like if you show a producer like, hey, I'm coming to your show, hey, I'm doing this, I would love to work with you, do it. That's it. I've rambled. I'm done. Coffee time. Yay.
No, but Crimson's 100% correct in that. I know, like, from what I've seen, the way I worked myself up into getting bookings was basically like showing up and being presentable. And my city, I'm from Pittsburgh, and we have several bars that do. I love Pittsburgh. It's a mess, but we it's home.
One of my favorite places to perform.
And I've seen you here. We've had a good time.
Yep.
But we've done, like, Pittsburgh has a lot of opportunities for younger entertainers to stretch stretch out a bit, play around a bit, get practice, get acclimated to the scene, to performing in a place, and through open stage shows or competitions or things along that line. And obviously through a pandemic, we don't have them right now, which sucks. But that's what we're working with. So I know, at least in my ventures in online drag, I have not turned anybody down for like an online show. So you can always ask, and in that case, it gives you just that little bit of practice. You can get some feedback. You can always excuse me, ask somebody for feedback as well. But my biggest piece of advice for it is to be present and attainable in the scene. You know, be professional, talk to people that work in the scene, you know, make your friends, be cordial. You don't have to be best buddies with everybody, you know, like, because that way favors happen and that's not fun. And that becomes very political, but be professional, be cordial, be able to to show what you can do to other people, you know, say, hey, you know, this is what I do on a stage. Do you like it? Do you not? And like, I mean, I'm a big dumb idiot in drag, and that's what got me booked. You know, it's just something that stuck out. So if you're an amazing dancer, that will, you know, if you are a comedy person, if you just like doing it, you'll get a booking. Just give it time and make sure to not be afraid to ask, but always make sure that you're asking in a way that isn't like, hey, I really want this. Hey, I need this. Hey, you need to give this to, you know, like there's a decorum that exists in the way of navigating the scene. No, like Kitty said, or Crimson said, no, you're not entitled to anything. None of us are. It's drag. It's stage shows. These sometimes we're in small cities. So please be mindful of that whenever if you don't get a yes. It'll come. It may not come today.
I agree. I'm looking in the camera, so I'm not like looking down at you guys, so no one can see my eyes. But so I didn't see you doing this. But I agree with what both of you said, and I don't know if we want to mainly talk about getting booked in live shows or, you know, pandemic stuff, you know, digital shows. The best thing that you can do with a live, you know, if you're trying to get into a live show when this is all over, is go to the shows in drag. Let people see you. Don't get drunk. Don't act dumb. Because producers are watching. Somebody walks into the bar in drag, we're looking at you. We are. Because we're always looking for new people. Because people change, people move out. I mean, I had a troupe of people that I worked with, and we always gave anybody who said, hey, I would like to audition. We didn't ever hold like specific auditions. We just said, yeah, come to the show, you get 2 songs, show us what you can do, and then afterwards I would let them know, yeah, you're in the troupe, no, you're not. I've never told anyone no, to be honest. So that's, you know, as long as even if you're just a baby and you're just starting out, like there's always grow. Like if you see my very first drag pictures, you would just be like, what? Yeah, it was terrible. And I look back on those pictures and I'm like, it's awful, you know, but I learned from other drag kings. I mainly learned from drag queens. So because we didn't really have drag kings, but if you're in a live show or you're in a digital, you know, watching a live show, watching a digital show, watch the kings. If there aren't any kings that are booked, watch the queens, because queens do have something to offer a drag king. I know a lot of people probably don't believe that, but because I was raised by queens and there were no kings that were taking on anyone to mentor, I firmly believe that I learned some very staple things that I wouldn't have learned from a drag king. As far as just digital shows go, what I've done is I've opened up a group called Drag Me Online, and I have invited everybody to the group. Hey, we're doing this thing. If you want to do it, come and join. And so we got about 45 people in there right now. I'm going to do my shows a little bit differently, so I'm not having like a ton of performers. My audience, I polled my audience, and they said they only wanted like 90-minute shows. So we're going to do it a little bit different. You'll have to wait to see what we do when it comes out. But again, you know, just like both Crimson and Scarlet were saying, be personable, be nice, you know, show your best side. Let's see what you look like in drag. You can't come to a show not in drag and expect us to know what you're going to look like when we put you on the stage, you know. And when I started, there were open stages. I don't see in my town many open stages anymore. But when I first started, there was open stages. I did every open stage there was. I was kind of dragged into drag, and that's a story for another time, but the queens kind of just drug me into it. But go to open stages. You get better by practicing at open stage. So, and look at other kings. What are they doing? Like, my whole face is an amalgamation of little things that I took from different kings. You know, little things that I went, oh, that looks really cool. How will that look on my face? And I tried it. I either kept it or I threw it away. So the other day, I actually forgot someone was coming over to my house to get their shot, and I decided to do something different with my face, and it turned out absolutely horrible. And thank God he's my drag son, but I was like, oh, now I've got to get all this off my face, you know. So it was terrible, but at least it was now I know, like, stick with what you know. So you have to try out different things too. I think I kind of got off topic, but
it's a good topic.
We all do. It's okay.
The queen feline of rambling and off topic.
We are drag artists.
It's my talent for
only
pageants.
organized to a point.
Like,
I mean, did I touch on the topic anyway?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You definitely did. But yeah, that all super great answers. I think these are super helpful. You know, a lot of people just need to hear these from people that have been in it, and I think we're given that. So our next question, when presenting to producers, this question was formed in the way of presenting a portfolio. I don't know how many producers request actual portfolios or if it's more of like a general theatrical audition, but what are kinds of things that producers like to see in auditions, portfolios, etc.? And what are the best ways to share contact information? Like, do you make business cards? Do you make a flyer? What are things that you've seen in the industry that are most well received, I suppose?
Yeah, so I actually do have business cards. I do have to update them. But I have those like Moo cards, the little ones, so you can have them like on your keychain, like holder or whatever. It's tiny, and like you can have different images, up to 50. So I'll pick like 20 images or whatever. So it's always like different. It's a little bit more pricey, but it's a cute little statement. It's not like just the standard 3x5. I love stuff like that. In terms of portfolio, yeah, and every time I hear the word portfolio, I laugh because I went to art school and that's all we did was portfolio. It's about showcasing, you know, in terms of like, instead of having a book of design elements or whatever things that you created, it is mostly done digitally through social media. Think of social media as your portfolio. Now, I have accounts where it's cute and I'm not as opinionated. Let's just be honest. I always have a lot to say about a lot of things. I don't necessarily bring those people to those sites. I'll tell people to go check my Instagram, you know, in which I probably need to be better at updating my Instagram in the first place. But I did not grow on the age of social media, so sometimes it is kind of a struggle for me. I'm like, oh, wait, I have to take a picture of the thing that I'm doing? Oh, it doesn't even come into my mind. But social media is your portfolio. You want to constantly be updating your looks as much and often as possible. Even if it's like the same look and you just took it at a different angle with like a different filter. That's what's going to get people to like see what you're about, you know? And when you're in person, like Brock was saying earlier, show up in a look. Now, I never require a look. I'm going to be honest with you. Because I'm from New York, right? We don't drive to gigs. Like, what is driving? Like, what is a car that doesn't have an Uber or Lyft? I'm sorry, but it's true. So it's a little bit different from my city, right? So if the people come to drag, oh, I love it. I'm all about it. But I never require it on that level of security and safety because, like, it's a huge thing, you know? And that's one of the things that I love about digital drag, how safe it is, especially for performers that are under 21, because they didn't necessarily have those spaces to thrive before. Now they have social media. Now these 16-year-old, some of these kids, they're rude.
Oh, I know.
They're rude.
Seriously.
They're coming out. First of all, when I was 16, I was a goth. I was like listening to 9 Inch Nails, and I just gotten into Typo Negative, but I was also into Bauhaus because I was that, you know, because I'm Generation X, right? And, you know, I had long black hair and really good quality black lipstick did not exist at the time. So it was runny, smudgy black lipstick, but I was still feeling my fantasy. Now
Clown black.
Look, now these kids look like RuPaul Drag Race stars, and I'm like, this is so rude. But you know what? You noticed them, didn't you? It's their portfolio, and that's the best thing. Constantly pushing yourself to create bigger and better looks when you can, because sometimes it's overwhelming, you know, and showcasing your stuff. Otherwise, how people are going to see you. And social media, Instagram, all that stuff is free. It don't cost nothing. So the only thing it's costing is like, are you gonna get in your head or out of your head? Which is my lifelong struggle. But anyway, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, and exactly. And thank you for taking me down that, because I have had a very similar 16-year-old area. Now, granted, I also was the one listening to Norah Jones while weeping, and my eyeliner would run. But you know, high school, what can you do? I was Michelle branching out at the time. Oh God, did I say I do puns? I like doing puns. It's what I'm good.
Did I say that half the people watching this are probably not going to get that reference? Yes.
Right. That's the thing I'm thinking. I'm like, everybody's going to be like, what? Typo who? Yeah.
The Michelle Branch? Well, she's everywhere to me. Oh God! So here's my thing to help. This isn't into the question. Look up your references, everybody. It's important to know past, present, future, because you never know who's going to know what. And if you can resound with somebody, then that's highly marketable. When you're like Crimson said, your digital presence is your portfolio to us at this point, because I can check anyone's Instagram like that. And it helps, because then I can tell. So say I'm putting together a Super Smash Brothers Nintendo show. I can look at your Instagram and look, that person does a lot of Nintendo related things. Maybe they have some videos on here I can look at. Anything that can draw someone's eye. Don't worry about the likes. Who gives a damn about them? Likes are stupid. And they're not an indicator of your value as an entertainer or as a person.
Nor are followers, I believe.
Exactly.
Followers don't matter. A lot of people use that as a...
Yeah, right, exactly. It's clout, but that's not important. What's important is what you put out there, because we see that as people that put together shows. And if you're asking to be in a show, like, put yourself on my Instagram and like, I'll check you out. You know, if it's an in-person kind of gig as well, it's very helpful. Having business cards is great too. If you're expanding outside of normal drag venues, you can like I performed at weddings and passed out business cards to be able to get more wedding bookings, because those people don't know what the drag scene is like or where to find drag queens. Sorry, that's my beeper. For some reason it just keeps beeping. I apologize for that. Beep. But yeah, so I guess portfolio as well. Just diversify what you do. Don't be afraid to step outside of your box in them, and show range. Range is nice. If you have one thing that you like to do, great, do it. But don't be afraid to play, especially when you're young, because this is the time. You know, I know it looks good on this face now, but that's only because I've been doing it for like 10 years. You know, it took a lot of time and playing. And if you go through my Instagram or my Facebook, you'll see what the play was like, because you've got to try new things. You've got to showcase that you are capable of it too. I think that made sense. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But once again, we agree. I mean, I agree with everything you guys said. For myself, we performed in a quote unquote gay bar very rarely. The actual gay bar, we never started out performing in a gay bar. We performed, the first show that we ever did as a troupe was at the Tropicana at a place called Boogie Nights here. And I had been, my venue had shut down. There was another drag bar, and they primarily catered to queens. They didn't really care for kings. It was primarily cis gay men that went to that bar. So it was kind of very hard to get a booking there as a king, period. And I went 8 months with no venue. And finally someone said to me, hey, my friend is the manager of this place. Really, all you need is a bar that serves alcohol. I had nothing. Didn't even have a name. And I went and pitched myself to this lady, and she was like, that's great. I'm on it. When can you be booked? And I was like, okay, June 6th. And I had no performers. I didn't have a name for the show. Like, I had nothing, because I was expecting a no. And I got a yes. So, the way that I got our word out is business cards. I would put business cards on all the tables. That venue closed down. We ended up going to another venue, also not a gay bar. The gay bar the whole time was courting us after we had this success, They were like, why don't you come over here? Why don't you come over here? Well, we had already had such great success in just a bar that had alcohol to serve, you know, we just pounded the pavement. Like literally myself and my partner just went to every single bar in town and said, will you have us? Until somebody said yes. So, you know, that's kind of the same way that you would get booked, you know, in a, what was the question again? I just totally went on a tangent.
Portfolio, like
Portfolio.
portfolio.
Oh, portfolio. Okay, so business cards. Yes, I totally agree with business cards. I did apply to be in, there's a place here called Holiday World, which is like a little bit of Disneyland, okay? And they have a Halloween show. And I actually applied as a drag person in this very Christian organization to be in their Halloween show because they had this great stage and they had a great show. And they said you need an 8x10, you need a resume. I had everything, okay, when I showed up. And the rest of the people who were auditioning were between 17 and 20. I'm not. And I'm in drag. They had none of those things. But so the biggest thing is if someone says, here's a questionnaire, like, you know, you want to be in the show, here's your application. Like, give us all those things that we're asking for in the application. Don't just say, you know, I don't have a drag name, or I don't have, like, build your persona. Like, even if you've not really started, build your persona like a character in a book. Like, build a person that's outside of you. You know what this person looks like, what they want to do, all that kind of stuff. When I opened Drag Me Online, I didn't even have to initiate it. The people that joined automatically introduced themselves and put like about 5 pictures of different looks up. I mean, it just, one person started it and it just started a chain. We do have an application just for me to get to know people a little bit. But other than that, right now, yeah, you know, your portfolio is your Facebook page, or if you have a website, I have a website. So I can show people, you know, that like for Austin or whatever, some place that wants to book me. They're not cheap. So, you know, it's not, a website's not free, but you've got all these resources on Instagram. And I can't tell you, like, tag yourself, drag king, drag queen, all drag is valid. We follow those hashtags. So if I see someone pop up that I don't know, same with TikTok. If somebody pops up and they're like, that's how I became friends with a lot of different people. Actually, I was like, whoa, TikTok, this is really cool. You're really cute. I'm going to friend you on Facebook. Now I'm going to invite you to my group. So the social media that we have access to is like, just put on your best face. You know, I tend to make comments on social media that may not be my best face all the time. I'm really mad at people who don't cover their nose with their masks. I'm sorry. You're
not alone in that. Don't worry.
And I'm just like always like, why? You know, some lady came like 2 feet from me and I was like, can you cover your nose? And she's like, I have a medical. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a nurse. No. Anyway, political, bad. Next.
Well, to jump with Brock though, one thing, always keep track of your accomplishments. But 2, if you are political on your social medias, and I'm yelling at people to get registered to vote. It's what I do. But be mindful of that when you do. So if you're posting things that are highly inflammatory, that may affect a booking. It may not. You never know. If someone is like-minded, you may be fine. But be mindful of what you place out there, because that stuff does come under scrutiny, whether it's a good scrutiny or a bad scrutiny.
And I think most of my stuff is pretty mild compared to some people I've seen, like about other different topics, just about very personal things. Like I have 2 pages. Drag people go on one page, people in my life go on another page. And if you want to go off on a tangent on something personal in your life that's happened to you, and like sometimes I look at those posts and I'm like, is this person going to be a lot of drama? You know, that's one thing I don't tolerate, and everybody in my live troupe knows it. Like, if you start drama, I will suspend you. And people are like, how can you do that? They don't get paid enough to be suspended. Oh, watch me. You know,
Well, I think this is a good thing. I just want to chime in with this because I think you're bringing up a really good point, and I know this probably wasn't in our questions, but like, let's talk about this right now. Here's the thing: I believe in freedom of speech, right? You should be able to say stuff. However, if you're saying stuff that's racist or xenophobic or hateful in any way, absolutely not. So I do have, you know, I have a limit of what, you know, I consider to be problematic in a way, and that usually lends it to the extreme. However, if somebody is upset with something or having a bad day, I'm not going to take that against them because I feel like we're all, you know, human. Everyone's going through a lot. This pandemic has really been affecting everyone's mental health. It's, you know, look, if you're having a bad day, it's completely okay. But I understand there is a fine line of, you know, being upset about something and voicing that opinion, which I think is fine, or getting into fights with people. Like that is extreme for me. That is an extreme for me. But I wanted to make sure that we clarified that we're not talking about any type of, because I don't want somebody to watch this and be like, oh my God, I posted that thing that I didn't like this movie. They're gonna with me. You know, actually, like, there needs to be a clarifier there too.
And I'm going to tell you, I posted, I mean, I had a meltdown the other day, and I posted in Drag Kings Unite because I had nowhere to go. Like, some of the feelings that we have as performers, as visual artists, cross over into our daily lives. And some of the people in our lives don't understand that a performer is leaving social media, and I don't want to cry, who I really love as a person, but we don't have time to keep up with each other otherwise, you know? And that was like the straw that broke the camel's back that day. And I just thought, I don't even want to get into drag. I don't even want to do this show. This morning I spent all morning going, why did I say that I could do this? And I'm only being honest. You know what I mean? Now that I'm in drag, and this is kind of a thing that I do, I realize, like, even with my shows, oh God, I don't want to do this. I don't want to get in drag. I don't want to. Once I switch personas, it's then now it's the gender euphoria. But I always have this real conflict. And so when things like this happen, sometimes your partner doesn't understand. So what? They're your friend. They're leaving social media. You have their phone number. It's not a big deal. You know what I mean? But to me, it was just like all these things were coming down the pike. Where do you go? You go to your other performers who hopefully, who were very understanding. And actually, I friended some of the people that I hadn't been friends with who commented beautiful things on my post. So I gained people that I didn't even know were out there that I thought were really, you know what I mean? Because I'm really weird about my friends list. Like, if you don't have a certain number of friends with me in common, or you don't have the right friends with me in common, it's weird. I know I'm not going to friend you because there's too many weird, creepy people out there. I hate to say it, but there's trying to get into our Drag Me Online group too. You know, just someone who has nothing to do with drag, some dude. Yeah. So.
And it's good to have that community. It's very good to have it, and that in that community, we as younger performers we built up too, because those are the people that we've struggled through with, you know. Like,
and I don't think there's a lot of ageism in our community either. Just because you said younger performers, I just want
true.
Like, there's not. Yeah. I don't see a whole lot of ageism. Like, yes, you're younger, you're older. I think one of the things I love about drag, and this is again off topic, is that there's no age, there's no weight, there's no. There's no gender. There's no nothing. I was a stripper when I was young and skinny. Well, you know, that's not happening now. But I missed performing so bad. And finally I was like, wait, there is something I can do. So that's another thing that people actually, it does kind of tie in with the conversation. People should know. It doesn't matter how young you are. It doesn't matter how old you are to start. It doesn't matter what your body type is. It doesn't matter even if you're straight. We have a couple people in our troupe that are straight. It doesn't matter. You can do drag at any age, any weight, any body type, any orientation. Drag is still there.
Let me clarify too.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say
no, and I just wanted to, because when I say younger entertainers, I don't mean like younger in biological age. I mean like newer to performing. You know.
Gotcha. Yeah. You're true. But then that applies too. It doesn't matter what age you are in drag either.
Yeah.
Right.
But I was gonna wait. I have actually experienced ageism in drag, so I needed to come here and say that.
Oh,
yeah. I would say that it does exist.
Really?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because people that like know that I'm a certain age, like little comments will get made that wouldn't have gotten made otherwise. It's a pretty casual ageism. It does exist. So I just needed to make sure, like, yeah, we're saying it like we're all inclusive. Sometimes we're not. Like, let's just be honest.
And I think it depends on the groups and regions and
things
like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm with Scarlet. Yeah, when we say new performers, we're not saying like 17-year-olds. But yeah, I mean, even though they're rude because they're much more talented than we'll ever be in our lives. But you know, it's all about new performers. We're talking about new entertainers, new people in the scene, new people, things of that nature. So I also thought the same thing. Just wanted to make sure we're like not telling the kids you can't do drag. No, you can. We want you to come in our spaces, please. Please let me mother you. I'm very maternal. I just need to mother everyone. Please just come to the circle.
I'm gonna put on
no, but you know, I mean,
now.
I think it does tie in with everything. You know, like whether you're your biological age, I hate that word. You know what I mean? Whether you're 8 or, I mean, I've got a 10-year-old in our troupe who's trans. She's absolutely amazing. The first time I'd never seen her perform, and she was like, "Please let me perform," and I was like, "Okay, you get one song." And I'm telling you what, she went out there and all our mouths were like this. We were literally like, do you have another song you can do? Because you just owned all of us, you know? And we're all of varying different ages, and she's 10. So, yeah, I mean, definitely, especially with digital, it doesn't matter. You know.
Especially the kids.
I'm gonna pop in. Sorry, I'm gonna put on the moderator hat. We've been on this question for a little bit, and I want to make sure we get to all of our questions before we run out of time.
Sorry, my bad.
Like I said, no, it's good. This is a very good conversation. I just realized as a moderator, I have to do moderator things, which is both amazing and sucks because y'all are wonderful people, and I love listening to y'all. But yeah, no, these are all very good topics, and I think we'll probably be able to hit some more points, but I do want to get to our next question if Billie is open to asking it.
And I will read off the next question. Next question is, new drag artists can be susceptible to falling into bad situations in the name of business. What are red flags to avoid in gigs/artist circles?
And I think it kind of ties into what we were just talking about.
Kind of, yeah.
You should never have to pay to play. If you're in an organization that says, we love you, we want to see your art, oh my God, you're amazing, but you have to sell tickets, or you have to do this, or you have to do this, run away. Molly, you are in danger. Do you understand? Okay. You should never have to pay anybody to perform. Also, upon just like the bio, you know, tagline, photos or anything, nobody should be asking you anything personal in terms of a booking, unless you're becoming friends and you're getting to know one another, right? But like, you should, if somebody's asking you a little bit too much personal things, or like, or wants a specific angle, or wants, and I've had this happen before, okay, mostly in the burlesque circle. Sorry, did I say that? Anyway, yeah, so you know, there are people who can be a little bit, you know, gross.
Predatory.
You want to be watching out for that. But the
predatory, good word.
Predatory behaviors. You know, oh, I'll book you if you do this for me. Never. You should never have to give up something of yourself other than your heart and your soul to that stage. Anything else is problematic, in my opinion. That's it.
100%.
That's all I want to touch on, because there's a whole lot more I could, but we have time.
Yeah. 100%, because and just to tail off of that, if you I liked to give chances when I was young to people. Just, oh, you know, I'm a young entertainer, this might be the thing, let me give them a chance. And I've had people not pay me and pay other people, right? And
probably the same person that didn't pay me paid other people.
I mean, but really, and it's one thing that you need to make sure of is ask, am I getting paid? Because I've done free shows. I've hopped into someone like, you know, I'm in drag at a show. You know, I wasn't booked in this, but if you want me to go on stage, I'll just do it for tips. You know, I've done that. That's kind. That's fine. But to be booked in a show and then not get paid, or not get paid a commensurate value to other entertainers or for the work that I'm doing, that's a big red flag. I'll have that happen to me one time and then I won't do it again. You know, like, you learn.
Or they only
Another
pay the
thing-
drag children of their friends, and all of a sudden they don't have a budget for you.
Well, we're paying $50, but somehow I, the booking person, have 100. That doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
And I've seen that happen many a time. Do not understand what when you're going into a show, if someone is booking you in it, ask them, what are we expecting for pay? And if they cannot answer that, then you have a decision to make on whether to do or not. And it's in your hands at that point. But you have to make sure that if you're going into this and you expect it and you've never talked about it, that can give somebody who maybe has different ideas in their head about what the budget is. That can give them an opportunity to take advantage of you for your pay. So be mindful of that. Also, what's the other thing? Oh, come on, Scarlet. I had a thought. This tie is way too tight. This costume is like a size too small in the neck, and I'm not getting air. Luckily the makeup is thick, so you don't see me turning blue. But oh, that's it. If you're in a show, say you're in a booking show, and you see, like, I know for my online shows, I've got a VeggieTales show coming up that's got like 40 people that want to do it. I can't put like 40 people on it. I can, but then it loses all sense of design, and that's just, that's challenging. But I'm also I'm not singling people out either. Right. If you're doing a show like in person, and say you're doing a show with this person, and the person in charge of the show says, and other local entertainers, be mindful of that. It happens a lot. Yeah, and you're a name. You have a name for a reason, and you're a reason that people come to the show because you're one of those local entertainers that has friends in the city that maybe they're coming to see you with this person. Be mindful of those things because you have a name for a reason, and be able to have your name on things when the ad has space for it.
I think that's great, and I just want to jump in before Brock answers, just to piggyback on that. Also, when the producers book nothing but white performers and only has that one black performer sprinkling that tokenism, because I'm biracial, I identify as Latinx, and I mean, for me, one of the big things that I do is I make sure that shows are diverse. If it's just nothing but a white Christmas, run.
Yeah, 100%.
Run. That's it. That's all I have to say about that.
Even if you're a white performer, run.
Everyone.
Because that's not, everything has to have diversity, and that's one of the main goals for my shows. Always have been. I've always had trans people, black people. I myself am half, or I don't know, however much POC. My dad was, I think he said 3/8. It doesn't matter. I grew up with white privilege, so when POC people speak, I listen. That's all. But I think one of the biggest things you have to be mindful of is listen to your other entertainers. If you're in a show and you're booked and you're being paid $50 and suddenly you find out the queens are being paid $75, this is pretty much strictly for kings. It happens here all the time. It's very, very sad that kings get lower paid than the queens because we don't have to put in as much effort. I mean, I've heard everything. There was a lot of reasons for me starting my own shows. This was because of these kinds of things happening, plus, predatory things. People have been dosed at shows that I've been in that weren't my shows. I wanted control over things that were going to happen. Obviously, having someone dosed is not something you always have control of, but like at Austin, a lot of people said that I had the Patronus of a wolf because I was always scanning the room, keeping my eyes on everybody that I knew was with us, making sure that their drinks weren't uncovered. Like, people a lot of times don't even know. Like, I was with one entertainer and they left their drinks sitting on the bar and I grabbed it. I said, you never do that. Never do that, because that's something that's happened and can happen. So there's just a lot of things, especially if, a lot of these kids too, they come out straight out of the gate watching so many performers. When they finally decide to do it, like, a lot of times you're like, huh? They're already really good, like, at least makeup wise, or they look really good. And there's always someone willing to buy you a drink, so you just have to be really mindful of the people that are around you. Me as a producer, I'm like a daddy, so I keep an eye out on things always and try to make sure that everybody's staying safe and doing what they're supposed to. If my performers get too inebriated, I pull them from the stage and I make them sit in the back room until they're sober, like too inebriated to perform. I've never had that happen, but I have a plan for every eventuality, you know, because unfortunately we have to. And like Crimson said, she's like, you know, everybody that's in your show that day, you're their mom or dad, no matter how old they are, they're your responsibility. They came to your stage and you have to take care of them. That's the way I look at it. And always, always, POC performers, trans performers, everybody should be given a chance. Everybody should be invited. I have never, not one time, had an all-white cast in 5 years of live producing. Never. My co-host is Black. I have a Black trans queen. You know, there's a lot of people that I work with, and I don't go seeking those people out. You don't have to say, hey, we are looking for you. They're looking for us. So it's our responsibility to book them, you know. And when we do go back to bars and some of these 19-year-olds turn 21, you know, they've had the safety net of being digital and everything's cool and they're in their house or their whatever. They haven't had that interaction that all of us who have been performing for years are desperately missing. Desperately. Like, I want to perform in front of a live audience more than anything in the world right now. But they haven't had that. So now they're going to go from this little protected bubble into maybe a bar, or maybe a bar that has, you know, all ages. And they don't know what the possibilities are. So don't get too drunk. Be aware of where your drink is. Don't, you know, like, I'm not going to cover what Crimson and Scarlet already said because they already said it, but I mean, those are the things that I have to add to that.
Yeah. I do want to say one thing before moderator will moderate us. It is also our job as producers to look at the new performers as well. Yes, we should always have an open space, but we have to also do our part as well. That's all. All right, moderator.
Yep.
Love it. No, very good points. Very, very good points. Because like y'all said, I think a lot of people are in this safety bubble of working in their own homes, and then going out into the public is going to be a huge shift. So I'm glad we talked about this, because a lot of people just don't know.
Also, always look from the security guards.
Yes.
100. Yes.
If I'm in a show and I'm in drag and I'm not in the show, I am the security guard.
So I'm going to combine two of the questions because they do fit very well together, and also we're running low on time and I want to make sure we hit all the good points. So the questions are for artists without LGBTQ+ venues near them, and considering the online drag show boom, what are good places to look for bookings? And to kind of go with that, what are your favorite networking tips? Like how do you, you know, which we've kind of covered, but I guess like we covered the red flags. I guess a good way to word this is, what are green flags? What should you look for? What are the ones you want to jump on?
Got it. Okay, perfect. Really good question, actually. And I think a lot of people need to also know that this is a process as well. Showing up is just the number one thing for networking and everything, is showing up. If you can pay the cover, pay the cover. Not everyone can. I always say pay what you can if you can, right? Because I'm not trying to produce like ableism or classism or anything like that. We're not even trying that. But you know, I think in terms of, let me check the first question, because I know you combined it and now like my brain is like, oh, we have to put these together. Oh my goodness. So good place that are looking for bookings. You need to go on Twitch, right? You need to start befriending all the people who are doing these Twitch shows. Surf Network, you know, anybody like San Francisco, Princess, Stud SF. Like, I mean, I could go on and on and on. All the major networks essentially of digital drag. Start friending everyone, start going to the shows, start, you know, hyping up in the chat, like not like too much where you're taking up space, but enough where people can notice you. It's a fine balance. Sometimes I fail at that, actually most times I do, but either way I'm getting hype and that's all that matters. And just like always kind of come in with a good energy, you know what I mean? And don't fake it. Like if you're in a bad mood and you're having a bad day, you don't have to be in the Twitch chat. Like maybe you could just watch it anonymously. But it's really about showing up. being there, like showing up consistently. That's how you become a part of any scene, right? And that's what was taught to me when I first started 15 years ago. You show up, you start coming to shows regularly, people start seeing your name regularly, and eventually somebody's going to say hi, right? Because here's the thing, digital drag changed all the rules. We're all on an even playing field now. You know what I mean? That means whatever indiscretions or fuck ups or whatever we did in our own little communities, you know what I mean? Whatever mistakes, essentially they're forgiven for a moment. All right. And I don't say that. And when I say discretions, I mean like getting drunk and being stupid, not anything extreme. Please let me clarify that. But yeah, people don't know who you are. People don't know who you are. There's people that don't know who I am. And I was like, holy shit. And these are the kids that are coming out, and I say kids, younger performers, you know, who are coming out and doing their thing. They may not necessarily know the people who were there before. And that's, yes, I mean, historically, that makes perfect sense. That's how any generation and any type of art form has ever evolved. And it's your opportunity to shine. It's like Gypsy, Got to Have a Gimmick, right? It's one of my favorite songs. It's one of my favorite all-time, like, you know, just way of life kind of mantras. You got to have a gimmick. What's going to put you through? What's going to make you stand out, you know? And coming up with really innovative drag, making sure that you're consistently pushing yourself in your art. You don't have to have $1 million and high budget and a crew. No, you could just be clever. And so think of it that way. We have an even playing field, and you just get to be your own, you know, chess players and the pieces on this board and make your own thing and just show up consistent. And I think I rambled, but I think I got everything in one nice snippet. So I'm going to stop myself there. Thank you.
Yeah, basically, to form onto that, diversify who you're following on your social medias, because a lot of us will post things like I put shows out there, but I'll put them out on my social media, and people that I maybe have never spoken to are like, I want to do that. I'm like, okay, cool, hop on in. What's one more? Let's make it happen, you know? So the more that you've exposed yourself to, the more people that you see, the more opportunities you'll see to present yourself for a show. I know like the Serve Network has application processes. We've done like applications. Fill out an application. They're like 10 or less than 2 minutes, you know. And if maybe you don't understand the theme, like the VeggieTales one, I've asked to help. You know, people said I don't quite know what I'm doing here. I'm like, that's okay. Let me give you some help, because we all want our shows to succeed. So we're not gonna like tell you, no, get out of here. I don't want you here. It's like, okay, here's the concept. Here's, you know, here's how to navigate it. You know, here's a YouTube link, anything along that line. Green flags too. Like if you're going into shows and things. Sorry, that beep. The beep is also is my co-host, not co-host, but panelist. But the in person. Don't be afraid. Obviously, don't be afraid to ask. But if you feel a vibe from a show that feels like good, that's something you want to graft towards. I know I've been, when I was earlier in my career, I had been to some shows where I'm like, yeah, these are the people I want to work with. This is the space I want to work in. It's diverse, it's fun, it doesn't take itself too seriously, and I worked to get there. So set your goals. Like goal setting is always a good thing. And I've also been to locations where I've watched shows and I go, this is not the kind of environment I want to be in. And I, you know, went another way. So just, I guess, be aware of your scene, be aware of opportunities, and don't be afraid to ask for them. But like, set your goals as to what you want to do. They don't have to be within a week. You don't have to achieve them within a year. My one goal was to win a pageant, and it took me 5 years to do it. But I did it, you know, and that's how goals work. They don't have to be perfect. So be my, yeah, they are.
I think things like this too are, even this panel is a form of networking. So like when I get done with the panel, I'm gonna immediately friend Scarlet probably, because, you know, we're like-minded. So, and I think a lot of us help each other too. You know, I'm just getting started in the digital drag thing. I'm really nervous about it, but I just keep telling myself what I said before. You know, I was nervous the first time I performed on stage. Anything new is gonna be like that. So these are kind of networking things, just getting into these panels, which I believe there was an application for, right? Was there not? Yeah. So I applied for it because I thought it would be a fun thing to do. So just filling out those applications, getting to know the people. You know, for Drag Kings, we have a huge place called Drag Kings Unite where you can get to know, I don't even know how many people are on there, like over 1,000. There's thousands of drag kings on there. Make positive comments on things that you see on there that, you know, someone you like, what, you know, you like their drag, you like what they've done. I've become friends with some people through doing that, just going, wow, your drag blows me away, you know, or even kind-hearted comments that they made or a discussion that was going on. So those kind of networking things are really good. We have a social network for a reason. That is your networking. And I'm not so good at Instagram, as Billie found out, because I didn't have my notifications on for Instagram. I just kind of go there whenever, but I need to get better at that, you know. And one of my goals was to do these digital shows. You know, I know the market is full of digital shows, but I do have a specific audience here who is missing our drag. And now I have an opportunity, which I didn't have here before, to have other people in my show that these people have never seen because they're from Pittsburgh or they're from New York or they're from wherever. So the digital drag thing has actually opened up a whole new world. Yes, a whole new world.
Oh God, I went into it. Damn.
A whole new world for a lot of people. And it took me a long time to see that way because I can sometimes be resistant to change, you know. And the other thing is to get started in digital drag, it's not that easy. It can be if someone's willing to take you and say, look, you can make a green screen really easy by doing this. If you just get a webcam offline that's at least 1080p, you can do this. But, you know, now I've got a GoPro, a huge lighting setup, like a ring light, or, you know, because I wanted all those things so that I could do professional stuff indoors. But you can get started on a budget. And I think maybe that would be a great panel to have, is how to start digital drag on a budget, you know, because there's some people out there who are just, they're totally clueless. And my first green screen, I just set up the green screen I bought, which is like 10 feet tall. It doesn't, like, I can't even use the whole thing today. But before, I was using a Walmart rack with a green fabric from Walmart that I ironed and clamped onto the top, you know, of the clothes rack. Does it work? Yeah, you know, and that's really all you need. That, and there's a couple of very inexpensive programs out there that you can use, you know, like when I first started editing, I had no idea what I was doing. None. So there is a huge learning curve, but I think there's also a huge opportunity. So.
And I feel like Generation Z, they get it because they're all on YouTube and TikTok and everything. They know.
Yeah,
we're the ones that are coming in, storming in, and you're like, Generation X needs to catch up. Like
the millennials are a little slower than we thought we were.
Oh my goodness, it's a learning curve.
No, I feel it's so hard, you know, and I'm just like, I just want this pandemic to be over so I don't have to get all this stuff and do all these things. And you know, the first digital thing I ever did, like inside, was using complete substandard equipment. Like my hands were disappearing, my hair was disappearing, you know? And so I was just, you just have to like, YouTube is also free. Great resources for all this kind of stuff.
YouTube is always free. I mean, that's a really good point. I think that's a great suggestion of kind of like how you get started. For me, like I started doing like YouTube videos and like videography of my work digitally back in 2016, actually. So I had spent like money, like I have a $1,200 camera because I started doing photography. So like I already had a few of these things set up, but for people that, you know, like don't know any of this, you can just use your phone, you know what I mean? Lighting key. I'd rather you go invest in a softbox lighting for like $69.99 on Amazon. I know it's the necessary evil, I get it, whatever. Moving on, you know, and you could do stuff with that. As long as you have a 3-point lighting system, it could be a cheap clamp light that you get at Home Depot. So I hope that you do something like that too, because I want digital drag to be accessible for everyone. I do not want a sense of classism attached to it, because I do see that coming. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. And I don't like it. I want people, I want to see what people are doing on their own. I don't want to see a studio. Like that's what we have other things for. But I don't want that. And it's gonna do it. It's gonna come. I watch in 6 months. What I'm saying.
I really hope so, because I had a lot of comments when I put the poll out there about what people were, how much they were willing to pay what they wanted to see. How long was the time limit? I put a poll out there to everybody to get an idea of what I was going to do with the show. And one of the comments that was made that really kind of made me a little upset was that as long as the videos are like yours, Brock, and not someone at home in their living room with their dogs and cats. And I was like,
but those are fun
but
too,
wait,
and valid.
Yeah, what if that's all you have?
Exactly.
What if that's all you have? So at least you're getting to see a performance.
Exactly.
You know, and if you don't want to see that kind of performance, well, click off of it if that's, or don't come. But everybody has, it's the thing I've been pushing since I started, because I was terrible when I started. I did have some moves, but I was a stripper. So my producer would be like, I watch you up there on stage, and I'm like, living, oh, stripper, you know. And I had to be able to get rid of that. I had to wear boots that were 3 sizes too big. So all I could do literally was stomp around the stage, you know, to get rid of this muscle memory that I had. So like, everybody has to start somewhere. If you're starting with your webcam on your laptop and a black curtain behind you, that's where you begin. Yeah. And you have to let people begin and encourage them to begin. So
100%. 100%.
Exactly.
100%.
So we got about 15 minutes left, and I believe we have one more question. If Billie, you would like to introduce it.
Yeah. What are your favorite networking tips?
Or it's actually the one right before that, because I combined 2 of them accidentally. Okay. Well, not accidentally. But...
Wasn't sure which one you combined. Okay. The last one is, how does one set their booking fee?
Ooh, that's a very good question. Well, first
very
of all,
tough right now.
You ain't gonna set nothing in digital drag, okay?
Yeah.
I'm lucky if I make $5 with tips for a number. Let's just be honest with you. So what I'm gonna do, and if anyone has an answer for digital drag, I welcome it. But right now, I don't. Like, nobody's making money. We're all struggling. I don't want to ever have to put anyone in a position to pay me well. This is talking about like people, individuals. We talk about organizations. Now we talking money, because I know you got it. All right.
Yeah.
It depends on, like, so I will speak from that framework, that context. Well, when I was, you know, performing live, like I said, I've been performing live for a very long time. I headlined Austin Drag Fest. I toured many years, you know, for like a month long or 5 week long tours that I did myself on my own booking fee, everything. It's my Capricorn rising. I can't help it. I'm a workaholic. But it depends on the gig. Because here's the thing. If I have a New York gig, right? I live in Queens, right? Because I can't afford Manhattan. Nobody can. And I got to get a Manhattan for a gig. Well, that's a $40 Uber, just one way. So I have to figure it out in terms of how much is it going to cost me to even get to that venue? You know what I mean? Is it a venue that is going to be more likely to tip? No, it's New York. Everyone's broke with gentrification, so that's going to be a no. How will I ensure that I'm not losing money getting to a gig, performing in the gig, and getting home safely? You know what I mean? What can I cut corners? Like, maybe sometimes I will take the train in to the gig, but it's still a little bit nerve-wracking because, you know, I've been harassed. Trust me, like, my life has been put into a little bit of a mortal dilemma, you know, when it comes to traveling. So I think that's a really big thing. But I have to figure out, like, in terms of like Manhattan performances, I won't do anything for under $100 anymore. I refuse, because I have to factor in the safety and the necessity of transportation into that. Now, let's say we're talking about outdoor gigs. Well, are you paying for my travel? Are you paying for my accommodations? You know what I mean? I can negotiate depending on that level, anywhere from $200 to $300, maybe $400. It depends on the venue. It has to be case by case, because otherwise, how, you know, not one person can pay a single thing. But with digital, I can't do that. We've all gone back to being tip performers, and let me tell you something. It was a very hard thing for me to get used to. I go someplace you're paying me money, because like this is years and years and years, over a decade of experience. You're gonna pay for that. I deserve it, and I value my time and worth as an entertainer. I have a different answer for somebody that's only been in the game a couple of years. With digital, if it's an actual company, oh no, I'm at least starting it at $300-400 and seeing where we can go from there, even $500. I don't mind. I always go up and then have a negotiation kind of safety net, you know, to the lowest that I feel that I can go to. and what I'll be comfortable with. And I've gotten them gigs in quarantine. I've made some cute coin doing like private gigs. It really depends on what it is. If it's a panel, I'm not going to probably ask you for 500. Maybe I'll ask you for 2, and I've gotten it before, and it's happened. So I would like to actually hear everybody else's point of view, because I know that I'm probably coming from like another end of the spectrum of this.
Right. No, and because my experience is similar but not the same. Because I know, like, starting out, I was taking free gigs for exposure, which in hindsight, it's like, okay, I had to do those at the time because it's like, how else am I going to get my foot in the door? But like, you can't do that forever. You cannot. You should not expect that of yourself forever, because people will take advantage of it, and that's not fair to you. And you need to understand, like, bars in Pittsburgh don't have huge budgets because it's Pittsburgh. This is the Rust Belt. This is a lot of gentrification and mess, and like a lot of people that are coming to these shows are not the people that are making buku bucks in, I don't know if that's the correct term. They're not making a ton of money in the investment firms in Pittsburgh. They're working down at a thrift store, and they're here to get their mind off of things because this is the community, it's what we do. So I know that, like, usually a bar can afford $50 per person in like a 5-person show. Like, the budget is set out to about that, and that's my standard in Pittsburgh. If I'm going somewhere, if I went to New York once and I asked to do a show for free because I'm like, no, none of you know me, I want to do something.
Yes,
but that's just because, and that's just what I had to do. But in other cases, like if another bar in Pittsburgh is like, oh, we can pay you 30, I'm like, for 2 numbers, no, not anymore. If I really like the place, maybe, but no. For weddings, if it's something local, if I have to travel or a short distance, maybe it's $200, $300, depending on what they want me to do. And that, like Crimson said, negotiation. How many numbers do you expect me to do? Are they going to be sequential? Will I have time to change? What does the venue look like? What does the dressing area look like? What am I going to have to put up with to get there to do it? Otherwise, what's the other thing? If you're being reached out by someone corporate-wise, like I did a, what was it? It was at the beginning of quarantine. It was a fundraiser, and they were able to pay like $200, and I was like, yes, that's fine. And granted, I had to hold a camera for an hour, but I can do that. I'm a bullshit artist. It's what I'm good at. So I was like, yeah, I will do that. And one costume, that much time, fine. But it's different for each person depending on your location. Just be mindful of like the sense of communication that has to happen. And like I said earlier, if you are getting booked somewhere and they don't discuss payment, ask. 100% ask, because if you don't ask, they can say, we've never discussed this, and then have a window to not pay you, and that's not fair. So because you put the work in, if you can do it, you can. And I know, just before I peace out, I booked shows, and I've had people come in, and as a booking person, like the way my parents raised me, this was normal. I've had people that have shown up in drag that weren't booked in the show, and I was like, would you like to get on the stage and do a number? And I just give them some of my pay, because like it was fine at that point. They came in, they did some work, let's pay them. So if you're in the place that you're booking somebody, and you can afford to pay everybody, do it. If someone new hops in and you give them that moment, give them some money. It's now granted, online is different, but because here we are. But in person, be mindful of that, because you know how much it would have helped you at that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I pretty much agree with what both of them said, but the thing about it is it's very regional. Okay, so the local gay bar here pays $30 for a Friday night, which is not their busy night, and $40 for a Saturday night, which may be their busy night or not. Our shows, for myself, I never wanted to charge a cover because, and that bar, the gay bar, does charge a cover after a certain time. So the shows don't start till 11:30 here, and the bar starts charging cover at 9 o'clock. If you don't want to pay the cover, you have to get there at 8 o'clock. So keep in mind, bars charging cover, what they're paying is kind of substandard. In our shows, I would rather our customers, which when we have our shows, we are packed to the gills, and they are mostly middle-aged women. Go figure. We have a lot of kings in our troupe.
That's why.
I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I've had straight women say things to me that I would just be like, what? But so I don't charge a cover. I'd rather them spend that money on us. And they're very generous. The bar has a budget. That budget gets split between my partner, who's the DJ, and all the other performers except for me. I take no money but my tips. That's just me. I was accused once, I guess, of taking all the money and not paying my performers, and that was such a hurtful thing to me that I decided from then on that I wasn't taking show pay, because I don't do this for money. I do it for love. And this is because I can't transition medically in real life for many different reasons. This is my loophole through transition. So this is my gender euphoria. That and I get love from entertaining people, and I'm somewhat comedic on the mic. So I would, we split the money. Whatever we do now digitally, we'll advertise one for split in case people want to just donate $20 and be done with it. And then we'll advertise each person's Venmo, Cash App, whatever. I've done a couple digital shows, really haven't gotten any money. I think I got $5 from Austin, which was really a shock to me, because I figured we would really get, I see Crimson going, wah, down there. So, $50 is, for an established performer, is pretty much standard. $50 is generally what you would get paid. Now, if you're brand new, you're not going to get $50. Not here, And if you go to the one bar that's still not open and hasn't been open, and I really commend them for that, as the LBG, we just say gay bar, the only gay bar in town, they are still closed. Other bars are filling to capacity with unmasked people and creating COVID spreader events. They are. So yeah, it's very disconcerting. And I had made a promise to my troupe and myself and my partner that we were not doing any indoor shows until this was over, period. Mm-hmm. Because I am not going to be responsible for putting anybody at risk. I'm not going to put myself at risk, and I'm not putting my partner at risk. And I feel very strongly about it. And because of that, I have lost my venue here in town. So what drag looks for me after pandemic is over is I don't know. But I know that I'll be alive to see what happens after pandemic is over.
And we'll be able to make something new,
Right. Exactly. And the thing about it is I've always been good at pounding the pavement and just saying, hey, this is what we do. My business cards show the name of our troupe with me in 3 different looks. I actually have a country look. I know, don't all look at me like you're shocked. I do have a country look. And then, the hard rocker look, and I can't remember what else is on the back of there. But so, I pass out cards, I'll do whatever, but I have already made a commitment that any bar who has put money over people at this time, I'm done with them.
Yeah.
So if there is I don't know if there's a place for us anymore that hasn't done this. They're just going on, and I don't know how they're getting away with it, but they're just going on because they can't afford to close. They need the money, and that's their excuse. And it's, to me, it's not a good thing. So I might buy a bar. I don't know. We'll see.
You know what? Honestly, also, we don't have to go to bars for gigs, and I can get my bottle of wine and have my life at home in my pajamas and my onesie and live my damn best life.
Yep. Yeah. Right now, I'm not wearing shoes.
I got my track clothes on. Yeah.
I only put pants on because I wanted to make sure that my pants still fit. Otherwise, I would just have sweatpants on because you can't see me from here down, so it doesn't matter.
But that's a point too, and that's something. Before I leave, because I do have to leave now. I don't see digital drag going away because there are people that we are able to reach that maybe don't go into bars and cannot go into bars, not just because of age, but because of substance
They're
abuse.
disabled, and the venue's not.
Yeah. Yes, and that's the thing. This online venue will continue to exist in one form or another, And
problem
everyone
is
watching. Oh, go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but this was one point I wanted to touch on. The problem is we are doing exponentially more work than we have ever done in our lives for exponentially less money.
Yes.
Yep.
And that is what we have to figure that out somehow.
Yeah.
That's what's got to come in line.
Agreed.
20 hours.
We'll go ahead and drop it here since I know Scarlet has to leave, and I'd like to say goodbye to everybody.
Yes,
We
same.
appreciated having all of you here.
Thank you.
I'll let Billie say a few words if you have anything, but I wanted to put on the mod
Thank
hat to
you,
draw
everyone,
that.
for joining us. We really appreciate all the advice, and everyone's payment info will be in the description down below, and their social medias as well, so you can go follow them and spread some love to them. And also, our Dragwerk social media will be down below as well. If you want to come and follow us and be a part of the Dragwerk group, Facebook group, but when you do, please answer the questions, all of them. If you need help, please feel free to contact us. All right, I'll see you guys later, and have a good one. Bye.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yes, you're welcome.
Au revoir.